Namaskara to everyone. Welcome you to the next episode of webinar series of Kuvempu Bhasha Bharati. Kuvempu Bhasha Bharati has been organizing these webinar talks over the last few days about important Kannada literary persons in English for the non-Kannada speakers of India and abroad. And today's talk will be about Shivram Karanth. He's a very big personality in the 20th century Kannada literary world, whose life, in fact, spans the entire century from 1902 to 1997. And we have with us today Mr. Yogesh DH to speak about Kota Shivaram Karanth. Interestingly, both of them come from the same region, which is Dakshina Kannada, or the old below the Ghat section of Karnataka. And Yogesh DH is a literature student, currently teaching English literature. He has worked in many newspapers, Kannada and English, presented research papers nationally and internationally. So he will introduce and give some idea of what Shivram Karan's multifaceted personality is like, who has worked in literature, theater, as an activist, and many things. So, Mr. Yogesh DH, welcome to the session, and the stage is yours.
Yogesh, can you hear? Hello, Yogesh.
ಸೊ ಸ್ಟಕ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅವ್ರ ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಬಹುಶಃ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು.
Okay, then we'll wait. Actually, he's going to rejoin.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes, Mr. Yogesh. So you can start your session.
Good evening, everyone. I thank giving for Sri Dr. Girish Ajakala sir for giving me an opportunity to talk about Kota Shivrama Karanta, one of the genius and
Yogesh, please adjust the camera. So camera is not. You are not visible on the camera. Huh?
is it okay, sir, now?
Um, yes, yes. Now it's looking good. So you can carry on.
Sir, let me correct it. Sir. Is it okay? No. Yeah. Is it okay, sir, now? Hello? Is it audible?
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes, yes.
audible.
Yeah. Uh, I profusely thanks Dr. Girish Ajakala sir for giving me an opportunity. So in this talk, I wanted to discuss about Karanth, his personal life, because I believe that without knowing the personal details of the writer, one of the greatest writer of Kannada, we cannot go into the text or the novels or whatever the literary genres he has written. So it is my sincere study or whatever I have known for years about Karanth. It is an opportunity for me to present before everyone is here I thank everybody who is responsible for this series. Initially, Kuvempu Bhasha Bharati Pradhikara, it is doing a wonderful job here in this stage, giving opportunity to everybody who is non Kannadiga to understand, to know about Kannada writers, the magnificent writers of Kannada, and spreading the culture, the literature of Kannada to everybody. Let me first begin with the details. He was born on 10th October 1902, and he was born in Saligrama, Kundapura Taluk, Udupi district. He born to parents Sheshakarant and Lakshmamma. In his autobiography, and he spoke on many stages about his father, who was an alchemist, and his mother, Lakshmamma, so who are the great parents of Karan. And I profusely mentioned Leela Karan, who was the wife of Kota Shivarama Karan, and this couple, Kota Shivaram Karan and Leela Karan, they had four children. First one is the elder one is Harsha Karan, who was uh, died at the early age of his life. It gave a very big shock to the family, especially Karan and his wife Leela Karan, that they cannot tolerate what happened in the family, the death of their own son. It takes so many, uh, how can I say, Leela Karan, psychologically, she got depressed, and that was the beginning. And Malavika, the daughter of Karan and Leela Karan, so who got much opportunity to stay with her parents in Balavana. Especially whenever we talk about this family and Karan, we may not left with Balavana, that is in Puttur, because as Karan mentioned, Kota, the Saligrama was his Janma Bhumi and Puttur Balavana is his Karma Bhumi, because he spent most of his life, 40 years, there in Balavana. So his intention was very clear. So because he wanted to create an environment for the children, because he thinks that schools are the slaughterhouses of children in born curiosity. Schools are the slaughterhouses of children's inborn curiosity, because he believed that children has an inborn curiosity, because in a children could ask many questions whenever he start to speak, but later on when he grow up, it started to reduce, as we are all born and we are all asking questions at the early stage of our life, that later we addicted to the new education system. This affected our brains, our curiosity. It curbs the curiosity, and we stop questioning. The rationality decreases in us. But Karanth was against it. That was the reason he founded Balavana. And Malavika, the first daughter, the second daughter, and Ullas Karanth. So all the children, they are from different areas. Now all of them are above 70 years of their age. Harsha Karanth was an engineer, but very popular as a saver of a tiger. So his interest in the wildlife. And sorry, I mentioned about not Harsha, it's about Ullas Karanth. Sorry, Ullas Karanth was an engineer and interested in wildlife. And the last child, Kshama Karan. So Kshama Karan, who had interest in a dance, like her father, developed a passion for performing arts from her father and became an accomplished Odissi dancer and a dance teacher, and who was running a Nritya Shilpa at Bangalore, a dance school of her own. So these are the children of Karat, Ulas Karat, Malavika Kapoor, and Kshama Rao, the legends in their own area. Because Karant has created and given opportunity for all his children to do their best in whatever the area they like. So this is about his family, and there are many things to discuss, but I have given only 35 minutes to speak here. I was in a confusion what to speak and what not. Here, I mentioned about his friends. If Dr. Chiranjeevi Singh, a former Indian ambassador to UNESCO, who said that Karant and Kuvempu and Bendre, the trinity of modern Kannada literature, the pride of Kannadigas, it was Shivram Karant who took the culture of Karnataka beyond the shores of India with his dance and music. After Rabindranath Tagore, no one had mastered as many art forms as Shivram Karant. It was very interesting to know about Shivram Karant. And in Kannada, there is a saying, ಆಡುಬುಟ್ಟದ ಸೊಪ್ಪಿಲ್ಲ ಕಾರಂತರು ಬರೆಯದ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ ಪ್ರಕಾರವಿಲ್ಲ, which means that there is no vegetation that a goat doesn't eat, but there is no work that Karanth has not written. Here, this statement states that Karanth was a multifaceted personality because we know him popularly as a Kannada novelist, playwright, besides being a writer, Yakshagana artist, dancer, composer, environmentalist, social activist, and a filmmaker. One of the present critic, the thinker, Ramchandra Guha said, Shivram Karanth was the Rabindranath Tagore of modern India. Yes, it is true because it is an article he mentioned the details about him comparing both Karanth and Rabindranath Tagore because they share very the same quality, the similar qualities. Shivram Karanth brother, so who was K. Ramachandra Karanth, so who was a distinguished personality as he was a popular advocate and politician. Especially Karanth and his brother, both of them, they tried their hand in politics. Karanth stood for election for two times and he lost election. This shows that people doesn't want change, and the literary laureates they may not get victory in this type of a public elections because Karanth, as we know, it is named Karanth, Kara, which means is spicy. Whatever he speaks, no, it doesn't taste good for many people because he speaks whatever he wants to speak without hiding or without applying honey, whatever he speaks here. Karanth raised on Yakshagana and poetry recitals as a youngster. In his childhood, surrounding the village Kota, Saligrama, Brahmavara, and Kundapura, so he loved listening to Kannada classics that his father recited, and he grew up to become one of the greatest novelists of Karnataka. And he is also popularly known for his atheist notion. He himself declared himself as an atheist because he says that I did not see God. How could I believe God is there? And at the early age, he thrown away Janivara, the holy thread for the Brahmin, because they belongs to a family of pure Brahmins, of Kota Brahmins, because there are many varieties in the Brahmin caste. And Kota Brahmins, they were considered as the highest in this category. So going against their own caste or the rituals is not easy. But Karant did it profusely because he says whatever he believed in his own work. Right. So he was a hardcore Gandhian. He was influenced by Mr. M.K. Gandhi and took part in the independence movement when he was in college in Bangalore. Karanth, one day he was sitting in the college and he was brooding. And his one of his professor asked him why you're brooding. What is the problem? And Karanth said that no, I am not interested in studying. I must join independence movement. So then he left his education, college education in 1921 and joined non-cooperation movement because he was a great follower of Mahatma Gandhi. But later, uh, he didn't follow Mr. Gandhi because of the differences between them for many issues. Right. So I don't have a time to discuss about all these things here. Let me shed some light on his works. He has written 45 novels, is not an easy thing. And as it was said is in autobiography and also in a book written by his children growing up Karanth. So his children, they mentioned that their father, he has written novels in a week or two because he's a workaholic person. Karanth believed that working hard at the age of 95 also, he worked very hard. That is the secret of his health, good health, right? 45 novels, and every novel is a legend. And in the next part of my presentation, I wanted to present before you one of his early novels, Chomana Dudi. And let me continue with his works. As a playwright, he has written 31 plays, as he was very popular now today also for his dance drama Ekshagana, because the work he done in this genre, Ekshagana Bayalata, the people who love art, they must read this because this is a book we can say in English as a Bible of Ekshagana. Because I don't know how it is right. I could compare this book with the Bible because Karath was an atheist. Maybe it may be any religion or any god, right? And he has written travelogues, especially travelogues, which are because Karath loves traveling because he never cared for the family members. Because one incident, Malavika, one of his eldest daughter, remembers that her mother, Leela Karath, has given birth to Ullas Karath, the first son. But Karath was busy because tomorrow morning there was a Ekshagana presentation and he has to go with the whole team. The whole of his team was in a Balavana. They were preparing. And Karath knows that his wife has delivered a baby and so he saw the baby and he was getting ready for the Ekshagana and he has to move with his team. That was his workaholic nature. But so his family, his Leela Karath, also supported Shivram Karath. She never stopped him. The woman who was behind Shivram Karath, extremely, whoever saw Karath and the family closely, they know that Karath's success is supported by his wife, Leela Karath. Because, and also mentions that Leela Karath yeah, there is a few details about Lila Kara I have to mention. Earlier, she was a student of Shivrama Karan. She was studying in Besant Women's College, Bangalore, and she belongs to Bunst community, a very popular community in South Kerala, Udupi, and Dakshina Kannada, and also in North Kannada. She belongs to a Guttu family, the landlords, and they were the warriors, and they give security to the kings on those days. They were called as Buds, and also they have a surname called as Shetty and Alva. So Leela Karanth was earlier, she was a Leela Alva in Besant Women's College. So she was very popular girl because she was a very good singer, dancer, and a multifaceted personality. And Shivram Karanth was teaching dance drama there. And Leela Alva was one of his best students in that college. And Leela Karanth was attracted towards Shivram Karanth when Shivram Karanth was creating some properties with a skillful hand, the skillful hands which attracted Leela Alva. And she met her father because she lost her mother at a very early age, and she had a responsibility of her sisters also because her father has married another woman, and that stepmother, she was not good mother, and she was not taking care of all these children. And Leela Karanth has suffered a lot, and she doesn't have any options in her life. But when her father has given a promise to her, so whatever you ask, I will give you. She never asked anything in her life. But when she was attracted towards Shivramakaran, she directly goes to her father and directly said that I want to marry this my master. So she was calling him as a master, as her all student friends they were calling. Then he accepted, and she proposed Karath. But Karath knows that he may not sit as a family man. He's a crazy fellow, as he himself puts, because the autobiography written by Karath itself, titled 10 Faces of a Whimsical or a Crazy Man, he doesn't think that I suit to the family settings. But Leela Karath, so she accepted it because she was ready to anything for him. And Malavana, right? She fed many of them. In Malavana, she was called as Malavanadamma because she fed many people. We cannot count many orphans also, right? Because Karant has intention in Malavana that so children must grow without any restrictions of a Montessori or English medium schools. So children should be uh, in anywhere where they could grow in a free environment, play, and they grow between the nature, between the trees, and between the forest. That's why he bought 6 acres land in Putturu, and he established Balavana there. Now Balavana is a very interesting place. It is a museum supported by government of Karnataka. And let me continue with this. He had an interest in children's literature. Though he was a well-versed writer and novelist, his interest in children and educated children is a ever-flowing fountain or a river, we can say. He has written 231 tracts of children literature, 9 philosophical tracts, and also 8 books on adult literacy, 13 books on fine arts. He was influenced by Chalukya sculpture and architecture, and it was a problematic literature written in support of state government of Karnataka, and he was objecting that. And also his love for architecture, we can see one of his friend mentions in his work that Dr. Chiranjeevi Singh mentions that Hampi Narasimha statue, everybody know about it. So it was at the moment when Chiranjeevi Singh comes to know that it was restored. But Karanth, so he was surprised because culture, the architecture, the sculpture, architecture, it should remain as it is because it is our heritage, Karnataka, Hampi. So it should maintain as it is. And he went there and then he came back and he has written a letter to the Prime Minister of then Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, and it was kept as it was, right? But later it was restored. But just think about how Shivrama Karath take care of culture and sculpture, architecture, because everybody doesn't have an interest like this. And as we know, he has written Huchu Manasina Hattu Mukagalu, 10 Faces of a Whimsical or a Crazy Man, and it was translated into English by H.Y. Sharda Prasad, and another autobiographical writings, Smriti Pataladinda. So there are many details about his life he has himself has written because he never believed in any criticisms because he himself has write everything about himself. When he got married to an intercaste girl, he never gave an opportunity to criticize his decision, and also whatever he did. That's why he said that I doesn't give an opportunity to other pets to kill me. I myself do it. This is what he said, and the people who are very close to him, everybody knows because it's an open book. Karanth was an open book, and his wife Leela Karanth was an open book because he didn't hide anything at all. As it is, his three children also, they did not hide anything. Everything is disclosed and they revealed in their book after the death of Shivram Karanth after 25 years. I got shocked. Why they took so much time to write this book, Growing Up Karanth, right? And he was called as Nadanaduva Vishwakosha, the walking dictionary, because in the field of dictionary he did many things, and he also has written encyclopedias for children, Vijnana Prapancha, Bala Prapancha, and he also has written 17 popular science books. That's very interesting. The person who has interest in writing novels, architecture, yakshagana, music, entertainment, and also he has interest in encyclopedia. This is what. And the special thing is that he took personal interest about the pictures, and they were colored in okay in German, as I heard somewhere. He edited 5 books, translated 16 books, and wrote 4 short story collections, 2 poems, and 108 articles in Kannada and 7 articles in English. So this is the greatness of Shivrama Karan. And uh, among his novels, ಬೆಟ್ಟದ ಜೀವ, ಮರಳಿ ಮಂಡಿಗೆ, ಅಳಿದ ಮೇಲೆ, ಮೂಕಜ್ಜಿಯ ಕನಸುಗಳು, ಚೋಮನ ದುಡಿ are popular even today. For ಚೋಮನ ದುಡಿ, he got, sorry, for ಮೂಕಜ್ಜಿಯ ಕನಸುಗಳು, he got prestigious Gnanapita award. This is very interesting that many of his novels, they were the of Gnanapita. And because every work, when we read Alida Mele, it was a very creative work, and especially I wanted to discuss about Chomarandadi in my next part. And one thing I wanted to mention, uh, he has many good friends and also good students. And Purnachandra Tejasvi, he shares some of the qualities of Shivrama Karanta because he settled down in Modigere, so far away from Mysuru or Tirthahalli. He took a land and he believed in self work, and he was working in Arakanat with Arakanat's fields and has many fruit trees in his orchard. As I have visited and seen Balavana and also Mudigere, the place where Purnachandra Tejasvi was residing. And so when I met in 2003, I met Purnachandra Tejasvi when I was a student of MBA English in Colombo University. Our professor, Dr. Rajendra Chenny, has invited Purnachandra Tejasvi to give a talk, and in one of his talks, he said that no other novel is compared to Marali Mandige in any languages of the world. And that day itself, got interested in that novel, and I went to my library, Cope University Library, and I borrowed that book and read. Because such a beautiful novel written in a pure Kundapura Kannada, and it was not easy for me to understand that language at a first reading. It took me a lot of readings to understand, and I believe that as Purnachandra Tejasvi has said, it is one of the best novels in any language has written. And I don't know how I justified my details about Shivrama Karatha. There is many things to say about him, about his Balavana, about his works in Ekshagana, because in the field of Ekshagana, which was very popular in South Kerala and North Kerala, so here we have Tekkatittu, Badugutittu. Ekshagana it is considered as a Gandu Kale. Shivrama Karanta, so he worked in this field and he has redefined the dance drama of the West Coast and ragas, whatever used in traditional Ekshagana repertoire, and but had fallen into disuse. He did away with the dialogue, making songs and dance to its work instead. He added new instruments, linked dance rhythms and music rhythms, and searched for and trained talented artists. Balavana was a perfect stage to train all these things. Performing art, that it is his great work in the field of Ekshagana, and he reduced the duration of Ekshagana of 8 hours to 3 hours because to make it space with the Russian modern world. Nowadays, the generation, this generation people, they don't want to watch a test series. They just believe and were happy with the 2020 series. So he changed it. And Ekshagana, he did many things which I cannot briefly mention here. And I wanted to shed some light on his another area, environmentalist. We all know about the Kaiga project, the atomic power generation plant. But at that moment, this Karanth had objected that because it is very harmful for the society, people, and the nature. But it was a government project, though he fought for it to preserve of the trees and the forest, he failed. In 1970 and 80s, he launched a campaign against polluting industries, destructive dams, because it is ultimately threats for the human and nature. In his novels, we could see all these things here. Because one thing I want to mention here, the woman of Masruru. So there, he speaks about ecological sensibilities also found their way to the his fiction. Speak about landscape and how man has made and unmade it. The town of Masruru near Kundapura had reservoir built by the peers of an earlier age. That was his interesting. So here I wanted to conclude my introduction or details about Shivarama Karanta, and I take only 5 minutes to speak about Chomanandodi, as it is in English called as a Chomas drum. Karanth was born in a Brahmin family, but also has a great interest in upliftment of society, the lower class people. Everybody should get a voice of their own and liberty. And here Choma, who belongs to Mari Holaya caste, and he doesn't uh, cultivate the land of his own. That was a condition for them. But he had a great interest in cultivating his own land in a village called Bogenhalli. He had 5 children: Chinya, the elder one, Guruva, and Billy, a very favorite of Choma, a girl child and a very beautiful also. And the last two kids, Kala and Neela. And this Choma had their family had a very lovely dog, Bahadu, and also he had two bullocks found in the forest. This early novel, Chomarandodi, it cast a light on the exploitation of lower class people, the capitalization. You can see Choma is an untouchable bonded laborer in a village, and he working along with his family for a landlord. And this landlord was was a very good person, but the people who around us, Dakshina Kannada and Udupi, they have cultivated a system. So, in search of jobs, they went to Kalasa, the coffee estates, because here they get only limited wages. They had a dream that we have to go somewhere to earn so much, but it was only a false belief. Choma, throughout the novel, have seen only the disaster, the deaths, because Guruva died of cholera, and Neela, the youngest son of him, was drowned in a water, the pond, because the history thing is that when he was drowning, everybody was there. The highest caste people, means Brahmins were there and other upper caste people were there. They could not touch the body of a Holaya. Before there was, he was sinking. They could not do anything at all. That was a tragedy. And Billy, a very beautiful daughter of Choma, who was taking care of Choma very well after the death of Choma's wife Holati. This Billy was also become uh, uh, a prey for capitalization, because she went to Kalasa, the coffee estate, where she has to uh, clean the debt, whatever the made by her father, Choma. His two sons, they failed to pay the debt, but with the pressure of that writer, she went to that Kalasa, the coffee estate, but she became a prey for capitalistic society. She was raped by the estate owner, Mingela, and Serregara Manuela. So anyhow, it this comes to the knowledge of Choma, and he has thrown away his daughter out of his house, and he shut the door of the house, and he started to beat his drum. Anyway, says up the landlord, who says that this Choma, who plays rhythm as though he was an expert Mridanga player. No, it is not true. Choma, his drum doesn't have any rhythm at all. He plays for his own happiness. Even though he was very happy, he was very sad. He plays Choma his dudi. But his family met a tragedy. And in the story, we also comes to know about the conversion, Christian missionaries, how they were converting the people who belongs to Hindu lower caste people. They gave a lure to them and they wanted to convert them into Christians. So this is a very tragic thing that how lower caste people they converted into Christians wanted to survive. Survivability, the question in the family of Shoma, but ultimately he died. The whole family became prey for capitalistic society. So in a very few words, I wanted to conclude my presentation. I try to introduce Chomanandudi and also briefly because I am showing only the light and saying that this is a sun because it is not easy to introduce Shivrama Karanta in only 35 minutes. So there are many things to say about him because there is limited knowledge or information available on the internet. Please read the book Growing Up Karan because it gives us the details about his life and his works and read much about Shivrama Karant. So I thank everybody who gave me an opportunity and whoever listened me. Thank you very much. Thank you, Girish sir, for giving me an opportunity. Thank you, one and all. Namaste.
Sir, you are on mute.
Thank you, Yogesh.
Thank
Yogesh has given us a lecture on uh, a great writer, Kota Shivarama Karanta. Karanta, uh, was one of such writers who depended on writing for his livelihood, writing and publishing. Of course, many of his publications were the books written by himself, publishing and printing, and such other works. Uh, he was a realist. It is known that uh, he left the school for freedom struggle and he had an interaction with Mahatma Gandhi about the plight of women or widows. Uh, Dr. Karanta was not satisfied with the answers or rather the solution given by Mahatma Gandhi uh, to the problems of such women. And he was against this view of Mahatma Gandhi. This is just because uh, Karanta was a realist. The real problems that we must encounter in life. Karanta was Karanta had concern for such women who cannot, follow Gandhiji's idealistic life. Dr. Karanta was also not a person who would go with the contemporary politics, uh, be it the real politic or the politics of literature. So he was uh, on his own path. He created his own path. He was against Kaiga, as Yogesh has rightly mentioned. He fought an election for that cause. Of course, he lost the election, but he stood there for a cause, and uh, and more than that, during the Ram Janmabhoomi movement, somebody asked about Ram Janmabhoomi, and then also he stood with Ram Janmabhoomi. Of course, he did not do it with much propaganda or some such things, but somewhere he expressed his opinion. Many were against this opinion of Karanth, but Karanth's personality was that he said what he believed. Of course, Karanth had many major works. Marali Mannige, Alida Mele, Chomanadudi, Mukajjiya Kanasugulu was awarded with the Jnanapitha award. Chomanadudi, as Yogesh has rightly took some time to mention about Chomanadudi and its importance. Actually, Chomanadudi, if we see the context of that novel, the time it was written, it has a great significance not only in Kannada but also all over India, because it was written in the 1930s, even before Mulk Raj Anand's Untouchable, but did not get that much of attention which Untouchable got. But comparatively, Chomanadudi stands above the novel of Mulk Raj Anand. It came before Mulk Raj Anand's novel, and it is more complex. It has a very complex problem of modernity and tradition. As Yogesh rightly pointed out, it deals with the problem of untouchability, deals with the problem of land ownership, land leasing or tenant, land reform, Choma being a drunkard. He had some problem with that also. Because of that also, he had to face the problem because of his caste. And there was the advent of modernity or colonialism, the problem of conversion. So it gives us a true picture of the complexity India had to face at the time of colonial rule or during the first half of 20th century. Anyway, Karanth, as it is always said, touched upon all the forms of Kannada literature. He wrote even poems also. He wrote satirical or satires also. Even Geeta Nataka, the plays. He wrote plays which consisted of the dialogues in verses. So it is really difficult to say anything about Karanth in 1 hour or 35 minutes or even 2-3 hours. He is such a multifaceted personality. But in this series of webinars, we just wanted to have a glimpse of his multifaceted personality, and I think Yogesh has given justice to the topic, and I thank Yogesh for giving us information about Karanth's writings, Karanth's personality. I also thank our member Dr. Duncan Jalki and other members, as well as the registrar Ishwar Mirji and all the viewers who have viewed this. I also welcome you for tomorrow's talk, where Dr. L.G. Meera will talk on Devanuru Mahadeva's literature. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. Please share the links which will be sent to you in due course. Please share it with your friends and groups you are acquainted with. Let's see tomorrow. Have a nice, of course, good night. Thank you.